accompanied by 9 members of staff. Honorable members, the delegation is on a visit to the National Assembly to benchmark on parliamentary processes and operations with various committees. On my own behalf and that of the House, I wish to welcome them to the National Assembly and wish them fruitful engagement during their visit. Honorable delegates from Kakamega, I'm sorry I don't have all your names, so I can't recognize you one by one, but Bernard Isindu, as your leader, is duly recognized. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Here. Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 27th June 2023. Annual report and financial statements of Kenya Insurance Corporation Limited for the year ended 31st December 2022. Reports of the Auditor General of Financial Statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022 and certificates therein. A. Chuka University, Moi University, Kitale National Polytechnic, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, MTRH, Kaiboi Technical Training Institute, Mukiria Technical Training Institute, Rifty Valley Technical Training Institute, Jeremiah Nyaga Technical Institute, Nkabune Technical Training Institute, Kirua Technical Training Institute, Aldai Technical Training Institute, Muranga Technical Training Institute, Karumo Technical Training Institute, Chester Teachers Training College, Tambach Teachers Training College, Mosoriot Teachers Training College, Engwen Technical Training and Vocational College, Kipkabas Technical and Vocational College, Lodwa Technical and Vocational College, Kipsoen Technical and Vocational College, Chapsirei Technical and Vocational College, Tharaka Technical and Vocational College, Tinderet Technical and Vocational College, Moiben Technical and Vocational College, Garsen Technical and Vocational College, and lastly, Lafay Technical and Vocational College. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor. Wapi Karemba. Any member of the committee? Put it aside. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Yes, Maklap, Wapi, your chairman? Pardon? Take the microphone. Give him the microphone.
Mr. Speaker, he's on his way to the chambers.
Is it guesswork or you have spoken?
No, I was with him, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
I was here.
Okay. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to give notice of the following motion that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 28.4, this House resolves to alter its calendar for the second session, the regular sessions as adopted on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, by varying the period for the short recess with respect to the second part of the session, so that A, the short recess commences on Friday, 7th July 2023, and ends on Monday, 24th July 2023, and B, that the House resumes regular sittings on Tuesday, 25th July 2023 to continue with the second part of the session. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Just call you.
I am told by my clerk that they are not ready, you have not signed
I did.
the report.
I think I did. Check with them. Thank you, Majority Leader. I see Honorable Karemba here. Are his papers ready? Yes, McClub? Give to the member
Mr.
for
Speaker.
Baringo North.
Mr. Speaker, I now have the paper to be laid.
So go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to lay the report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its vetting of a nominee for appointment as a chairperson of the Commission on Revenue Allocation.
Thank you.
I beg to lay.
Lay and go ahead on the next to give your notice of motion. Lay the paper first. Thank you. Go back now and give notice of motion.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I beg to keep notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning in its report on the vetting of a nominee for the appointment as a chairperson of the Commission on Revenue Allocation, laid on the table of the House on this Tuesday, 27 June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 215 subsection A of the Constitution and Section 8(1) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, this House approves the appointment of CPA Mary A.C. Ngunyi as a chairperson of Commission of Revenue Allocation.
Honorable McClub. Karemba, are you ready now? I'm told your documents are not ready, so you will do so on Thursday. You lay your paper and give notice of motion on Thursday.
That's okay, Honorable Speaker.
Mwengi Mutuse.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion regarding affirmative action plan for provision of water in arid and semi-arid areas. That aware that Article 43 of the Constitution, as read together with Section 9 of the Water Act 2016, provide for access to clean, safe and adequate water for all citizens. Further aware that access to water guarantees human and animal health, food security, clean and sustainable environment, among other socioeconomic drivers. Acknowledging that with a population of nearly 53 million people, about 28 million Kenyans lack access to safe water, while 41 million lack access to improved sanitation. Further acknowledging the rising water demand in the country and growing water scarcity due to climate change, population growth, urbanization, water pollution and poor management of water resources. Noting that the lack of clean, safe and adequate water affects economic activities, food security, education, health, and that it also affects, its effects are especially evident in rural areas and urban slums. Further noting that with the recurring drought, the country experiences acute water shortage, resulting in loss of lives, livelihoods, as well as environmental degradation, with arid and semi-arid areas being the most affected. Recognizing that this has led to economic decline in these areas, and partly due to successive marginalization and or underinvestment by successive governments in water. And further recognizing that during rainy seasons, these areas experience destructive immense surface water flow, sometimes leading to flooding, and that with adequate water catchment, these ASO areas can greatly contribute to food security, employment and wealth creation, hence reduce poverty and accelerate national growth. This House therefore urges the national government through the State Department of Water and Irrigation to, 1, institutionalize rainwater harvesting and storage in the country and particularly in ASA areas, and 2, develop an affirmative action program for investment in water harvesting, purification, storage and distribution in respect of ASAL areas. I beg to give notice of motion, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mutuse. Okay, next order. Honorable members, you'll notice you have a supplementary order paper which was necessitated by some amendments to the bill that you are going to Committee of the Whole. So from now going forward, we will use the supplementary order paper. Honorable members, before we go to the next order, allow me to recognize the following schools in the public gallery. The Nyali School, Nyali, Mombasa, St. Luke's Birbiriet Chesumei in Nandi. On your behalf and on my own behalf, we welcome the students and their teachers, if any, in the House of Parliament. I have been requested by Honorable Major Raila that her daughter is among the Nyali school team to take 1 minute to welcome the schools. Raila, speak for all of us. Welcome the two schools. Don't limit yourself to your daughter. Give her the mic.
Asante Bwana Spika kunipatia mimi nafasi nami niwakaribishe wanafunzi wote walioko hapa hususan the Nyali School Mombasa. Nyali School inasifika na inajulikana kwa utenda kazi mzuri, performance yao ni mzuri sana, na na hakika wakati huu amekuja kutembea hapa bunge na ametembea sehemu zingine hapa Nairobi, italeta matunda zaidi, tutawaona hapo wakishine. Karibuni sana bunge, karibuni Nairobi, mkienda huko yale mmesoma mwapeleke huko, na nashukuru mtoto wangu pia ako hapo. Karibuni sana mwalimu, kila laheri kwa hii trip. Mbunge wenu Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ali amesema nimtolee salamu, alikuwa aje lakini hakupata. Karibuni sana, utapata wabunge wengi hapo kwa hiyo shule.
Asante Mama Roida. Mbunge wa Chesumei, umeniomba pia nikupe dakika moja. Chukua dakika moja kukaribisha shule yako. Give Honorable Polo the mic. You are off target, clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Let me also take this opportunity on behalf of the great people of Chesumei to welcome the two schools from Nyali and my own school from Chesumei constituency. And St. Luke's is known of very good performance, Mr. Speaker, sir. St. Luke's is a school in Nandi County, though the infrastructure is not very good, and I will call upon you to come and assist us there. But in performance, they are very good, Mr. Speaker, sir. And the teachers also, let me congratulate them for the good performance. And I would take exception on the head teacher who was given an award. Thank you so much, head teacher Mrs. Kipto, and all the Chesumei fraternity. Thank you and welcome to the House
of Legislators. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2022, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act to provide a structured mechanism through which Parliament is able to receive reports from public officers on resolutions passed by Parliament and for connected purposes.
Thank you. Honorable Karemba, the papers you are supposed to lay and the notice of motion are time bound. So try and check with the table office and the clerk's office to see where they are so that I give you an opportunity to prosecute them. Next order.
Order number 9, a special motion.
Sorry. Clerk, will move back kidogo. Honorable Chege had asked me for an opportunity to make a personal statement, and I caution you, Sabina, if there's anything to do with your suspension or to do with the fracas that occurred here, I will stop you. I don't want any drama anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say I'm grateful that I'm back.
Yes.
I will not go into the details of how I went out of this house, Mr. Speaker. But my statement is as follows, that Tom Peters said great leaders do not create followers, they create more leaders. And we must know that we are all called to speak and to inspire future leaders. This is not a statement about myself, Mr. Speaker. It's a statement about the parliamentary decorum. It's a statement about protecting the political space rightly owned by women leaders in our country. It is a statement about our girls and future generation and the image of parliament that we bequeath to them. Mr. Speaker, it's a statement about my party, Jubilee Party, and the violent mistreatment we continue to face and fight against the minority coalition. Mr. Speaker, we sit as one house of parliament to manifest the diversity of the nation, represent the will of the people, and exercise their sovereignty. For the record, Mr. Speaker, I know you are aware of physically attacked by members of this house. They even took my phone in a style that is only done by petty offenders of the streets in Nairobi. But to me, this was a well-planned and coordinated attack, Mr. Speaker. What suddenly lost is not even the attackers per se, but the fact that it was planned and executed by women MPs with the help of their male counterparts. I would not wish that to happen to even my worst enemy, Mr. Speaker. This incident brought disrepute for this house and fell short of our calling as a National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, my party has continued to be intimidated in this house. But as my mother tongue, we say people only throw stones to a tree with good fruits, and by that way we expect that we will keep on fighting for the space of the Jubilee Party. I want to thank my colleagues, leaders, and the people of Kenya who have supported me during this unnecessary ordeal. I want to thank all members of Parliament for trusting and supporting the party as we deal with the unfortunate incidents. The people of Kenya look at this house for responsible leadership, Mr. Speaker. The people of Kenya often visit this house to witness parliamentary proceedings. We always have, as today, boys and girls from various schools visiting this house to witness us debates and make important decisions that will affect them today and in the future. They come here to this house to learn and to be inspired by words and our conduct. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the people of Kenya do not expect to find chaos and violence in this house. They don't come expecting to see women leaders unleash violence on their colleagues. This is a no, Mr. Speaker. When I have spoken about Jubilee mistreatment in AZIMIO and the fact that our space has been consistently taken over in the most unfair and illegal manner, you now understand, Mr. Speaker. When we say Jubilee Party ought to be respected and accorded its full legal rights as the third largest parliamentary party in this house with 28 MPs, we mean exactly that. We will continue fighting and advocating for that without fear and despite the intimidation and violence. The matter of the position, Mr. Speaker, of Deputy Minority Whip is being handled by the relevant legal institutions, and therefore I would urge anybody with a contrary view to follow the law to seek for solution. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we will all recall our national prayer breakfast, and this year's theme was reconciliation. I'm here to remind Kenyans that as your leaders, we endeavor to remain true to our national anthem. Justice be our shield and defender. May we live in unity, peace, and liberty. His Excellency the President, his Deputy President, and you, Mr. Speaker, and many leaders in this House have led the way in this path of reconciliation. We can only follow suit and support this effort so that plenty may be found within our borders. Therefore, as our parliamentary organs continue with investigations of what happened on that day, I want to tell those who attacked me that I forgive them. Kenya and this House is not about us, it's about Kenyan people. The Kenyan people expect us to provide leadership without unnecessary drama and violence. Even when we differ, Mr. Speaker, on policy ideas, we must do so with decorum and respect, as reconciliation guides our path to prosperity and sustainable development for our people. Mr. Speaker, I end with the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who once said, "It's time for political leaders across the ideology spectrum to realize that while partnership is understandable, hyper-partnership is destructive to our country. We need visionary leaders who will honestly strive for bipartisanship and finding policy solutions that can move the country forward. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sabina Chege. I hope the male member sitting behind you have heard you. Next order.
Order number 9, special motion, consideration of nominee for appointment as the Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services.
The Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that taking into consideration the findings of Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the vetting of nominee for appointment as a Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 22nd June 2023, and pursuant to the provision of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution and Section 8(1) of the Public Appointment Act 2011, this House approved the appointment of Ms. Anne Njogi Wangombe as Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President forwarded the clerks to the Clerk of the National Assembly the name of Ms. Njogi Wangombe, nominee for the said position, that State Department for Performance and Management Delivery Services, pursuant to Article 155(3) and Section 3 and 5 of Public Appointment Act number 33 of 2021. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 42.1, you conveyed the message from His Excellency the President to the House in a communication dated 6th June. The name of the nominee and a curriculum vitae was forwarded to the Department Committee on Administration and Internal Security pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 45.1 to conduct the approval hearing as required under Article 124(4)(a) of the Constitution of Kenya and Section 6 of the Public Appointment Act. Mr. Speaker, subsequently, and in accordance with the Section 6(9) of the Public Appointment Act 2021, the committee placed an advert in the print media on Thursday, 8th June, inviting the public to submit memoranda by the way of written statement and oath on the suitability or otherwise of the nominee in accordance with the public appointments. The advertisement indicated that the submission were to be received by the close of business on Friday 16th by 5 p.m. by the close of the submission deadline. The committee had not received any memoranda contesting the suitability of the candidate. The nominee was also notified of the date, time and place for approval hearing, which the committee conducted on Wednesday 21st. Mr. Speaker, the nominee appeared before the Committee on Administration and Internal Security as scheduled for approval hearing in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. Act 2011 on her stability or otherwise for appointment to the position said. Mr. Speaker, while conducting the approval hearing, the committee was guided by the provision of Section 6, 7, 8 and Section 7 of the Public Appointment Act 2011. In determining the stability of the nominee, the committee focused on the nominee's academic credentials, provisional training and experience, personal integrity, and their background. Mr. Speaker, the committee had the following observation regarding the nominee: that the nominee holds a master's degree in education from the University of Nairobi, awarded in 2008, Bachelor of Education degree Arts from Kenyatta University in 1993. She further holds a diploma in Human Resource Management from Kenya Institute of Management. The nominee has a working experience of over 30 years, having worked in various positions as a high school teacher from 1993 to 2009, a teacher trainer in 2009, part-time lecturer in Kenyan Methodist University and Mount Kenya University, assistant director for human resource and administration of Kenya Medical Cambridge 2011 to 2016. Currently, the nominee is a manager of Kenya Revenue Authority Staff Pension Scheme, where she has served from 2018 to date. She thus complies with Section 67 of the Public Appointment Act 2011 with regards to academic credentials, professional, and working experience. That during the approval hearing, Mr. Speaker, the nominee demonstrated knowledge of topical, administrative, and technical issues touching on government and has the requisite abilities, qualification, and experience to serve as a principal secretary for the said department. In accordance with Article 78(1)(2) of the Constitution, the nominee is eligible for appointment to state office since she is a Kenyan citizen and does not hold a dual citizenship. The nominee met the integrity threshold, demonstrated knowledge of topical administrative issue touching on the State Department, and has been nominated to, and has the requisite ability, academic qualification, and experience, Mr. Speaker. The nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity, having obtained the clearance from the following statutory bodies: ESCC, KRA, DCI, HELP, and ORPP. The nominee is not a member of any official or any official of a registered political party. The nominee has never been dismissed from office under Article 75 of the Constitution for the contravention of the provision of Article 75(1) or Article 76 or Article 77 in restriction of the activity of state officers, or even Article 78(2). Mr. Speaker, having conducted the approval hearing for the nominee pursuant to this article, the committee recommends that this House approve the nomination of one Ms. Ann Njogin for the appointment as the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Performance and Delivery Services. Having noted the proceeding of the Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the approval of hearing for the State Department for Performance and Delivery, I beg to move the motion and urge the House to adopt the report. So, Mr. Speaker, I've just said that the committee had a very, very interactive session. They interrogated the nominee, and I can confirm to this Honorable House that the nominee is properly fit and capable to work in the said State Department. She's actually, she has worked in several government sectors, and wherever she has worked before, she left a mark, especially when she worked as a principal in one of the secondary schools. So I urge this House to approve the nominee, and I equally ask my vice, Dida Raso, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dida Raso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Order, honorable members. Order, Karemba. Honorable members, I now propose the question consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance, Management and Delivery Services, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 22nd June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution and Section 81(1) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, approves the appointment of Ms. Ann Njogin as Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services. I'll pull the question, but there's a member who specifically requested that he wants to speak. Gitari. After him, I'll put the question. Korere, you want also to?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance. One, I want to agree with the committee. Mr. Speaker, the Saidan Wangombe worked in Kirinyaga Central. She was teaching at Kirwad High School. At that time, I was contemplating on running for a seat, and I can assure you that she is a very good person. After that, Mr. Speaker, Anne Wangombe went for her master's, and after the master's degree, she went to teach in a university. After that, she went to Kemri, where she worked in a very senior position, Mr. Speaker, and she left Kemri over the issues of the tassos, you know, about Kemri in Mwea. So she died for the people of Kirinyaga. That's why I thought that I should put a statement to the committee. After that, she worked in KRA. What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, Anne Wangombe is the right person for that position, and she is a real reflection of a bottom-up I support.
Korere will be the last. Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I want to support the nomination of the candidate. I happen to sit in the Committee on Security and Administration, and clearly, Speaker, the appointment of this lady to the position of PS is a real bottom-up approach, because this lady came from being a secondary school teacher, and she climbed all the way to where she is now. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, she's got quite a wealth background of knowledge. She's hardworking, and she really merits the appointment. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, I must also say, as a minority, I am a bit skeptical. And I am afraid if the kind of appointments you are seeing will continue that way, then surely the minorities cannot claim to have a stake in this government. And Mr. Speaker, I say this without fear of contradiction, because I know His Excellency the President is president today because he got votes from everywhere from this republic. And Mr. Speaker, when we are seeing main appointments going to two major communities in this country, then that leaves a lot of us with the questions: are we really part of this country? Are our people targeted? Why are they being punished? Mr. Speaker, the other day, we passed the appointment of the governor of Central Bank in this house. And personally, I have a lot of reservations, because unless somebody proves me otherwise, it looks like for anybody to be a governor of Central Bank in this country, you must come from a particular region. And Mr. Speaker, it is very painful when our people are put on the list just to be pacemakers in the race. And Mr. Speaker, I really want to plead with the President. You know, Speaker, when I first came to this house, I was nominated by URP, courtesy of the President himself, meaning he has an eye and a ear for the minority. And as a minority, I must say, in the last 10 years of the two previous administrations, the minorities were completely forgotten. And this is the only president whom the minorities have some hope in. So, Mr. Speaker, as I support, I want to do it with a rider than the 10 years of William Samoei Ruto as the president is the only president the minorities have hope with, because the last 20 years, the minorities were completely buried in appointments in this country. And the last time the minorities saw some light in this country was during the reign of the president, the late Mzee Moi. So, I know he's a very good student of Moi, and I know the minorities during his reign will have some story to tell. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tongei. Give the mic to Tongei. There you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to also support the appointment of Anne. Honorable Speaker,
Anne is one person who is very well known to me. I went to school with Anne. We actually schooled together. We did the Masters of Education together. So she's actually one person who rose from being a teacher, Mr. Speaker, sir, from a classroom teacher to KRA, and right now to being a principal secretary. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this lady is a lady who is well learned. She went to school and has papers, a master's degree, and I have no doubt, Honorable Speaker, that this lady will be the right person for being the principal secretary. Honorable Speaker, I will not have done justice if I don't support or thank the President, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, for appointing women. Honorable Speaker, the President has done us a lot of justice as women of this country. And when we see such a lady being appointed to us as women, we want to thank the President. I support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Tutafungia majority. Simulisema niwe put the question.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and allow me to also add my word of support to the appointment of Ms. Anne Njoki Wang'ombe, and to first thank the Committee of Administration and Internal Security that has done very good work within a very short time to take her through vetting. And Honorable Speaker, Ms. Anne Njoki Wang'ombe, and I have listened to the views of my good friend Mheshimiwa Sarah Korere, who avers that she was first nominated by His Excellency the President from a minority. And therefore she appreciates that the President is very keen on having balanced appointments in his government. And not just balance in terms of minority and the majority, because it is also possible, Honorable Speaker, to marginalize the majority in a country because of perceptions. And Honorable Speaker, nobody knows better than Sarah Korere that President William Ruto has been very keen to even balance, even in terms of gender parity, to ensure that there are enough of either gender in his government, represented in his government. And therefore, I don't support this on the basis of gender parity only, that Ms. Anne Wang'ombe is a lady, well-learned, well-educated, but she also comes from a community that risks being sidelined in key appointments on the basis of being the majority in the country. Honorable Speaker, it has been argued, when you are a majority, even in an institution, even when people die, it just happens that the majority, we also have a majority among us, those who are dying. And therefore, we must not also profile people on the basis of their ethnicities. Let us judge Ms. Anne Wang'ombe not on the basis of her ethnicity or where she comes from, but on the content of what she has to offer to government. And I want to speak to Anne Wang'ombe. She comes in a very important docket in the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, where she's been appointed to serve in the performance management and delivery services. In the previous regime, Honorable Speaker, this is a docket where PDU, or the Presidential Delivery Unit, was. And it is such a key anchor of the success of any administration that Ms. Wang'ombe must come into government and be able to quickly learn what are those 9 value chains that President William Ruto and his administration have given priority, so that she's able to appraise herself on those value chains, appraise herself even on the budget and appropriations report that we passed here and the appropriations bill, because it is what we have appropriated here that her State Department must ensure that projects are being delivered in time and with value for money being given to the people of Kenya. And therefore she has a very important role in government, and I want to plead with her to quickly appraise herself, get to understand our appropriations, the priority areas in terms of value chains, the 9 value chains that we spoke to during appropriations bill, and which President William Ruto in his better agenda or the bottom-up economic transformation agenda has set out those 9 value chains to be able to spur our country to greater heights of development. Honorable Speaker, we have also seen in the recent past, and I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, because when others spoke about corruption, I remember when President William RUTO was setting up his government, he said he will not speak about corruption, but he shall act on corruption in government. And I am happy that the first steps he has taken on any public officer who has been mentioned negatively on matters touching on the integrity, he has relinquished them of their jobs, Honorable Speaker. And I want to ask Ms. Anne Njoki that she has a role to ensure that she supports the president's and the country's war against corruption. Because corruption begins with the implementation of projects and procurement of those projects. She must quickly appraise herself with the provisions of the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2015 and get to know all details pertaining to procurement of public goods and services and be able to review the same to ensure that delivery of public projects is done expeditiously and giving value for money to the people of Kenya. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, let me also note that Ms. Wangombe also comes in to replace one of the PSs who left office, and the PS who left office came from the same region as Ms. Wangombe is being appointed. And in the same breath, because Honorable Sarah Korere did also mention the Governor, Central Bank of Kenya, I think the President is very keen to ensure that if one leaves office, because of that critical balance in the country to ensure that you replace people from the regions where the previous holder came from. That is why, Honorable Speaker, I was just questioning that we also risk marginalizing communities and profiling communities, and we must avoid that risk of profiling anybody on the basis of their ethnicity, but let us view each other from the basis of what we are able to deliver to the people and the Republic of Kenya. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support.
The honorable members will now put the question. Take your seat, Honorable Hassan. Oh, okay. The mover, you are called to reply before we put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to reply, and I want to thank the members who have contributed and supported the committee on its own finding. This is a very crucial State Department, Mr. Speaker. You know, the performance of what we do as a government, what the other State Departments will be doing, will be appraised and being monitored and evaluated by the State Department. So this State officer will come in handy to support the rest of the State Department of the government to perform to the expectation of Kenya. So I beg to reply, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable members, I'll now put the question, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 22nd June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution and Section 8(1) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, approves the appointment of Ms. Anne Njoki Wangombe as Principal Secretary, State Department for Performance Management and Delivery Services. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Now we'll go back to order number 5 and ask Honorable Karemba to lay your paper and move on to order number 6 to give you a notice of motion.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 27th June 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Labor on its vetting of a nominee for appointment as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission SRC.
Order 6, can you now give your notice of motion?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labor in its report on the vetting of a nominee for the appointment as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission laid on the table of the House on Tuesday 27th June 2023 and pursuant to the provisions of Article 250 2B of the Constitution, Section 711 of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission Act 2011 and Section 81 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House rejects the appointment of Dr. Phyllis Wamboi Wagasha as a member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Karemba. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the following school in the Speaker's Gallery: Chebwai SDS Secondary School from Malava, Kakamega. The member for Malava, members, you should have the courtesy of welcoming students in the House of Parliament. The member for Malava, Maluri Njendi, I give you 1 minute to salute your school.
So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity to welcome the students of Chabwai SDA Second School from Malava. Please feel welcome. Have the feel of Parliament. You are a great school. Speaker, this is one of the top performing schools in my constituency. Thank you. And I also take this opportunity to welcome the members of the County Assembly who are also in the Speaker's Gallery. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Njendi. In my behalf and on behalf of the House of Parliament, I join you in welcoming Chebwai SDS Secondary School to the House of Parliament. Feel welcome. Next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole House.
Order, members, may you be upstanding.
Honorable members, take your seats. Order, members. Order, members. We are now going to the Committee of the Whole House. Order, members.
Can you take your seats? Honorable Owen, Honorable Ngongo, Honorable McLeod, take your seats. Honorable members, we will start this Committee of the Whole House with the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2023.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. I now put the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that Clause 4 be part of the bill. Mover, the Chair, Public Debt and Privatization Committee. Order, members. We are on Clause 4. Mover.
Is the chair?
This amendment is by the chair.
They are all similar.
Four is the chair. Let the chair move and it.
So you move the committees, then just move the committees first.
Chair, this amendment is by the committee.
Yeah, can we move the amendment?
By the chairperson, Public Debt and Privatization Committee.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson.
It's been moved by Dr. Makali.
Yes. Yes.
Continue.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thank you, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I move that Clause 4 of the bill be amended by deleting paragraph A. Honorable Chair, the import of this is that in the bill, it is being proposed that the Public Debt Management Office, which is an office under the CS Treasury, is being proposed to advise Parliament matters public debt. Under the committee, we agreed as a committee, and we also, during our second reading, Honorable Chairperson, we agreed that for the purpose of the principle of separation of powers between the three arms of the government, it is important that Parliament is advised not by Treasury, but by either an office in Parliament or by an independent office. So on the basis of that, we propose that we delete paragraph A under Clause 4. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makali. I now propose the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Honorable Mbadi, we are keeping it maximum of 2 minutes.
You know, we are legislating, not just approving things. Madam Chair, I want to support this amendment because the idea of advice sometimes can be misinterpreted, and the moment you put it that the Debt Management Office advises, then there is likelihood that they may insist that the advice must be taken by Parliament, as we have seen previously with CRA, Commission on Revenue Allocation, now believes that the advice that they give Parliament on revenue distribution must be respected. So to avoid that conflict with Parliament, we need to remove this amendment, and that I support the deletion. Thank you.
Thank you. I now put the question that Clause 4 be amended as proposed by the Chair. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 4 as amended be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I propose the question that clause 6 be part of the bill. Mover, the chair, Public Debt and Privatization Committee. To be moved by Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, I think, Honorable Chair, although I would have really sought for your indulgence, the majority leader still has an amendment on this clause.
Honorable Makali Mulu, we have consulted on that.
So we do as far.
You will move the committee amendments.
Okay. So, Honorable Chairperson, I move that clause 6 be amended by A, deleting paragraph A, or as per the order paper, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, the essence of this amendment is we want to move the public debt current from a nominal number to a percentage. So, Honorable Chair, we are proposing that we agree as a House that we make the ceiling for our public debt to be 55% of the GDP present value. And, Honorable Chair, just as a way of ensuring that as a House we have control over this matter, there are two things we have said. Currently, Honorable Chairperson, we are doing at around 61.7. So we are above this threshold by about 6.7%. So just to make sure that we are within the limits, Honorable Chairperson, we are saying that we'll allow the National Treasury, the Cabinet Secretary of National Treasury, that within the next 5 years to bring this ceiling back to 55%. And this is now within 5 years, Honorable Chair. And we have also put another clause just as a way of ensuring that this House oversights public debt, that every year, Honorable Chairperson, that the Cabinet Secretary Treasury will be expected to submit an annual report to this House by 30th April, so that this House is updated in matters public debt, and at the same time, Honorable Chair, that with that kind of report, we will be able to inform the budget making process. So, Honorable Chair, I move. Thank you.
Thank you. I now propose the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed by the chair. I'd like to give the leader of majority the first go because you had a similar.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Chair, and I rise to support this amendment. Honorable Speaker, as Vice Chair to the committee has indicated, this particular amendment seeks to do a number of things. One is to establish that threshold. Since one of the objectives of the bill as I was moving, I indicated, was to move from an absolute figure to a percentage of our GDP. And we want to set that threshold at 55% of our GDP in net present value terms. Honorable Speaker, the committee, and I must thank the committee, engaged with the National Treasury on this particular matter and found it important, one, that there be a reporting mechanism to the National Assembly, such that whenever the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary is bringing his annual estimate books, he also brings to the National Assembly a report on the debt status. To Honorable Speaker, recognizing that already as we speak, and we have not shied away from stating facts as they are, that we are already in the red in terms of our public debt. And therefore we must give the National Treasury some headroom and some time to be able to bring down that public debt from the high of 60+ a law of 55%, and that is why the committee has agreed that we have a 5-year transition period. That beyond those 5 years, we must maintain our public debt at no more than 55% of GDP, Honorable Speaker, in present value terms. 3, Honorable Speaker, or Chair, appreciating also that if you have a very rigid threshold or ceiling at 55%, anything could happen. For instance, in 2020, Honorable Speaker, between the month of February and March 20th, the first case of COVID-19 was reported in this country, and I remember from some airline, a number of passengers, and within a period of less than 3 months, the entire economy here and globally was on a shutdown. Honorable Speaker, anything like that could happen. There are also instances, Honorable Speaker, like now, the war in Ukraine and Russia, the inflation in the US and in the other Western economies have occasioned a situation in the global economy where the exchange rates, the shilling against the hard currencies, the shilling has hugely depreciated. And even without borrowing an extra shilling on your net borrowing, Honorable Speaker, you find that your debt has grown probably by another 40 billion shillings because of a movement of 1 shilling against the dollar. And therefore, to cushion that, Honorable Speaker, we are saying, under very exceptional circumstances, then we give the National Treasury a headroom of another, what we are calling plus or minus 5%. But the committee found in their wisdom that minus 55 plus or minus, you are still good. So you are below 55, you are okay. But plus 5, we give them that headroom of another 5%, which is only accessible to the National Treasury under such exceptional circumstances. And Honorable Speaker, they must also bring it to Parliament. And Parliament, in this case the National Assembly, being the owners of the past, must be notified, Honorable Speaker. And I have concluded, Chair, and I want to support and urge members to support this particular provision because they also safeguard the role of Parliament in ensuring that we check on our public debt levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Shabir.
Thank you. Madam Chair, this amendment is trying to make some difference on a very bad situation. But at this present moment in time, we are already 62.5%. So we are actually saying that we are putting a debt anchor at 55%, but we are 62 point something percent. However, I think it's very important that we make it clear cut that even if this is going to be put together, because there are certain countries that work on 55% and they work on the net present value. However, there are other calculations that go in hand with this. You know, we accountants are very, very innovative with figures, and you'll find that the Treasury will become more innovative with figures. I think it is very important that instead of the 5 years, that this particular recommendation goes with a proviso.
Other members, we really want to finish with this business, and it's headed to the Senate. Okay. So we want to take very short time, limited to 2 minutes, and those who are leaving, I would kindly urge that you stay in the House. We'll be very quick on the next one.
Sorry, it goes with the proviso that everything must be sorted out within 2 years, not 5 years. Thank you. 2 years.
I will give only 2 more, then we will move on. I'll give Honorable Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, we are speaking to the possibility of this country managing its debts. If there is something that can really destroy a development process, it is the debts. Even at a personal level, Honorable Speaker, it is not very easy. But this opportunity is being timed, according to this particular amendment, to reporting back to Parliament. I very well remember what happened in the last government. we allowed the then government to move from percentage to absolute figures in terms of debt. And they never reported back to this House. I am happy to hear from the leader majority that the government is committed to be coming back to us and telling us this is what we are doing in terms of debt management. Because unless we manage debt properly, we will never get there. Honourable Speaker, I support the amendment.
Chair, Honourable Shuri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I support the amendment. And what we, sorry, you'll forgive me. What we have done is we have asked Treasury, to lower the debt capacity of this country from, we are at 64 at the moment, and we've given them 5 years to bring it back to 55%, which is the level that we feel our economy can carry. So I think this is a very good amendment, and I stand here to support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Lachi, 1 minute.
Thank you, Chair. I also stand to support, Chair, knowing very well that as we bring in this amendment, it means we are bringing back the power of Parliament to ensure debt now in this country is controlled. And Madam Chair, you realize this is money always removed from the consolidated fund, and therefore it's very important for Treasury also to appreciate, as we allow this in these 5 years with the new finance bill that we have just passed. Madam Chair, people will want to see. If Kenyans would see a record where we are saying our debt is reducing, Chair, everyone will appreciate as they pay tax. Thank you.
Honorable Kamuen.
Thank you, Chair. I also stand to support the amendment because of the situation that is going on in this country. The way life is becoming very difficult. Such amendments will give an opportunity to the Treasury to adjust it to the dynamics of the new changes as a result of the climate change. So we support this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Andeto.
Thank you, Chair. I also rise to support this motion. And the Chair, the only thing I would like to add is from what my colleagues have said. Other than the provision to ensure that the Cabinet Secretary comes back to this House every year to report on the debt status of the country, I would also urge this House to consider a portal whereby we can be able to disclose all the loans that this country owes to foreign lenders, both domestically and internationally, because this has been a rather contentious issue where we have loans that were taken very many years ago. Some are not being serviced at all. Some have accumulated to astronomical amounts. I am aware, Madam Chair, of a loan that was taken in this country, I think of about 1 billion shillings, and now has accumulated to about 48 billion shillings. And if we have these sort of disclosures, it will ensure that we can keep a very, very good tab on our debt situation in the country. So I rise to support, I rise to especially endorse the fact that now we have set it in GDP as a percentage of GDP in real terms and not nominal GDP, and the fact that we have also ensured that the Cabinet Secretary will be coming to this House to report on the status of debt. I rise to support.
Thank you, Honorable Makilap.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whereas we were part of the committee that public debt, we protected, Madam Speaker, situations where Treasury was to absorb powers of Parliament. And if you look at the amendments that we put in place, we made sure that there is independence of Parliament, not to be run over by National Treasury. And looking at like the issue of reporting to Parliament, we make sure that Parliament and separation of powers are actually retained in this particular amendment that we've done. Madam Speaker, as a mathematician, we found that if you say plus or minus 5, anything below 55 is safe it is safe for borrowing. So we believe that this is an applicable international standards. Many countries all over the world are now moving towards, are actually practicing the debt anger rather than the numerical figure. So we believe that this will open a space for this country. If there is fiscal discipline within government, they will be able to borrow within sustainable.
2 minutes maximum. Honorable Mbadi.
Yes. Thank you. Madam Chair, whereas the committee's amendment has improved the situation, which was very bad, where we were simply legislating, we would have simply legislated to surrender our power to the executive, but I still find that the committee should have gone a step further on 2 grounds, and that is what I'll say and sit down. One, this idea of allowing plus 5%, I don't even want to talk about more or less, plus 5%, when it comes to money matters, you cannot tell someone spend 55%, but you can go up to 60. You don't do that. The moment you do that, you have already given that person the blanket check to go, blank check, to go to 60%. So this is wrong. Number 2, what are these exceptional circumstances? You have not defined the exceptional circumstances. I want to tell this House that this clause is going to be abused by Treasury and the government, and there is nothing we will do, because we have already given them the blank check to go beyond 55% and come and claim exceptional circumstances. This House would have done better by specifying what these exceptional circumstances are. My final comment, Madam Chair, if the Treasury is genuine, let them bring amendments to the regulations to define what exceptional circumstances under which they can go beyond 55%. Without that, Madam Chair, I would guarantee this House that all...
Before the Leader of Majority, Honorable Murray.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support the motion of basing our borrowing of the debt anchor based on the GDP on real times. And why I'm saying that, Madam Speaker, is because international standards of borrowing are not about numerical figures. They are purely based on scientific numbers to support the borrowing. Number 2, Madam Speaker, I want to support the fact that all the borrowing will be coming before the Parliament for approval. So at least, Madam Speaker, we avoid the story about the Eurobond, whereby we borrow for consumption, and therefore it's upon the Parliament, Madam Speaker, to ensure any borrowing goes towards development and not towards consumption. I support, Madam Speaker.
Leader of Majority, I presume you've already done the information to Honorable Mbadi.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I did offline, but it's good to just indicate because there is an issue Honorable Mbadi has raised on regulations. And he knows regulations are subsidiary legislation and they will come after the enactment of the act or the bill into an act. And therefore, rest assured, Honorable Mbadi, and I will be here with you, just like we have been here before with you. And you know, when I commit to something, I mean business. We shall hold the National Treasury to account.
Thank you.
Never again shall this country be allowed to slide to where we are today because either the National Assembly or Parliament has failed to do its work. Myself and Honorable Mbadi, I am certain, and the Honorable Shurie, the Honorable Makali Mulu, we shall be here and we shall hold them to account to ensure that we do not abuse that particular provision. Thank you.
You have made your point, Leader of Majority. I now put the question that Clause 6 be amended as proposed by the Chair. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question. Yeah, before I put the last question on that, the amendment by the Leader of Majority has been dropped now that that for the Chair has been carried. I now put the question that Clause 6 as amended be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I propose a question that clause 7 be part of the bill. Mover, Honorable Makali Mulu.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I move that the bill be amended by deleting clause 7 of the bill as published. Honorable Chairperson, the bill as published proposes that the same office I was mentioning earlier, the Public Debt Management Office, which is an office under the CS Treasury, is still being suggested or being proposed to advise Parliament. And then on the same basis we deleted clause 4, we are proposing that we delete clause 7 so that Parliament still remains independent and we can make our decisions, matters public debt, without interference from any other quarter, because this is a responsibility of this House. I move, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. I propose a question that clause 7 be deleted as proposed by the chair. I would like that if you have interest on this specific issue, you put an intervention. Honorable Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I support holistically this bill, definitely because we need to tame our borrowing. And as you have seen, and every person have seen, we are actually reading from the front, even starting from the President, because we cannot continue to dig the hole of borrowing, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, also, the issue of disclosure is very important when it comes to borrowing. We have seen in many African countries, like we recently saw in Zambia, where a president assumes power, but Honorable Chair, there is a huge discrepancy between what is reported as public debt and what actually is public debt. And some of these circumstances are not very good for economies, Honorable Chair, and that is the reason why I support this bill in entirety. I also support the amendments to align it, Honorable Chair, to be a better bill in terms of supporting that sphere that we are supporting. But in conclusion, I just want to reinforce that issue of disclosure, Honorable Chair. And to my opinion would be, even as you deal with public debt should be as public as the debt itself. Since the debt is public, everything around it should be public. The projects to be undertaken to be public, Honorable Chair, so that we can be able to also audit what these debts do as the Kenyan public also. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Oyula.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this bill. Madam Chair, I want to support these amendments that have been introduced in this bill. However, Madam Chair, I want to caution this House that it's very difficult to bring down the level of public debt, and particularly the domestic debt. So the committee charged with this responsibility will have to work very closely with the committee, with the debt committee, so that every borrowing is monitored and the reduction is also monitored very closely. Otherwise, Madam Chair, I support the amendments.
I now put the question that clause 7 be deleted as proposed by the chair. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Mover, Honorable Makali Mulu.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, I move that the bill be amended in clause 2 by deleting the definition of financial obligation appearing in paragraph B and substituting therefore the following new definition. Financial obligation means outstanding liabilities related to public debt, including principal, interest, fees, commissions, and other expenses, instead of to the raising of public debt or its repayment and shall be a charge on the consolidated fund or another public fund established by the national government or any of its entities. Honorable Chairperson, it was a strong feeling that whatever had been defined in the bill was not comprehensive enough, and so we wanted to make sure that we have a financial obligation definition which captures all the issues related to repayment of the public debt. So with that new definition, Honorable Chairperson, I move. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Makali Mulu. I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the chair. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Title. I propose the question that title be the title to the bill. I now put the question that title be the title to the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 1. I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover, kindly move reporting.
It's been done. Clause 2 has been done. Clause 2 has been done.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments.
I put the question, which is that committee do report to the House its consideration of the Public Finance Management Amendment, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2023, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Mr. Speaker. Who is the speaker?
Si Nyamai was
Nyamai is there.
Nyamai and
I think they bring the secretary is back.
Order members, we will proceed on the Committee of the Whole House on the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly number 23 of 2023.
Clauses 2, 3, and 4.
I propose the question that clauses 2, 3, and 4 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clauses 2, 3, and 4 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Mover, the Chair Budget Committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 5 of the bill be amended in sub-clause 7 by deleting paragraph D-E-F-G-H, Honorable Chair, and that the first schedule to the bill be deleted and replaced with the following new schedule as it appears.
Order, Chair. We are on clause 5.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I
move that clause 5 of the bill be amended in subsection 7 by deleting paragraph D, paragraph E, paragraph F, paragraph G, and paragraph H, Honorable Chair.
I propose the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed by the chair. Those willing to speak to this kindly indicate via the intervention button. Honorable Njeri Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, as you speak, and I really wholeheartedly support additional allocation to county governments, but as we speak about giving county governments additional funds, Honorable Chair, this House must relook into oversight of county governments, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, and I want to speak candidly, and I'm not speaking only about Kenyatta County, Honorable Chair. We know that our healthcare sector was devolved when we got the 2010 Constitution, Honorable Chair. If you go to those hospitals in our counties, they're in a terrible state of affairs, Honorable Chair. We must also enable and ensure that we have looked into...
Honorable Njeri, do you wish to be informed by Honorable CNN?
No, I do not wish to be informed.
Honorable CNN, continue.
Honorable Chair, I am an advocate of the High Court. There is nothing that Honorable CNN can inform me that I do not know. Honorable Chair, we must ensure that we ruthlessly oversight county governments, Honorable Chair. There's a lot of pilferage, a lot of wastage, Honorable Chair.